Tonight, a deportation dispute as the court clashes with President Trump over his immigration agenda. A federal judge says that the administration unquestionably violated a previous order when it tried to send detainees to war-torn South Sudan without giving them a chance to contest their removal. It's just the latest chapter in the ongoing tug-of-war between the judiciary and the executive as Trump plows forward with his border crackdown. DHS officials say they did nothing wrong.
While we are fully compliant with the law and court orders, it is absolutely absurd for a district judge to try to dictate the foreign policy and national security of the United States of America.
Vice President J.D. Vance echoed a similar message and took a swipe at the Supreme Court's Chief Justice, John Roberts, who said the judiciary's role is to check the executive.
I thought that was a profoundly wrong sentiment. That's one half of his job. The other half of his job is to check the excesses of his own branch. And you cannot have a country where the American people keep on electing immigration enforcement, and the courts tell the American people they're not allowed to have what they voted for.
Journalist Tara Palmeri joins us at the table now. She's the author of The Red Letter on Substack. Tara, I thought it was really interesting. That interview with J.D. Vance was a lengthy one, but it was interesting that it coincided with a moment when the Trump administration is being directly accused by the court of just ignoring a court order. And it seems like they are starting to push into that territory of, you can't stop us.
Right. I mean, what is the court supposed to do about it, right? They are talking about targeting the officials that are involved in the actual roundups and the actual deportations and like creating a situation for them where there are charges for those individuals just to work in the government and follow orders and commands. So maybe that's their only way of really doing it. But what are they supposed to do? Like, they don't have a militia or an army. That all they can do is try to press charges and try to stop the individuals that carry out the act of the commander in chief. Trump chose a particularly interesting issue because these are violent criminals, and he'll keep saying, yes, these are violent criminals. Who cares where they go? And a lot of people might say, yeah, who cares? They're violent criminals. But like you said, they're pressing the boundaries of the power of the executive branch, and they're doing it in a very politically smart way.
Why do you think, Shermichael, that they're sending them to Sudan? Why not just send them to their countries of origin?
I think they're attempting to have a deterrence, to showcase to people you cannot continue to come to the United States. One, it's a national security problem. We have no idea who some of these people are. And two, it is a legitimate...
We know who these people are. I mean,
we don't know 20 million, however many of these people
I'm talking about
illegally.
the ones that they're sending to Sudan.
Okay, but my point is, broadly speaking, for the most part, we have no idea who the people are who are coming into our country illegally. Number two, it is an excessive strain on all resources across the board. Healthcare, crime, school, education, healthcare. We don't have, I keep saying this, I don't know why Democrats don't understand this. We don't have unlimited resources
my question was, why
to
are
not, as a deterrence, to make it clear, if you come into the country, you will get sent somewhere you do not want to go.
So the idea here is that we are going to deter people by saying, you committed a crime here, maybe they did, and we're going to send you...
Hold on. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
We're going to send you to a country where we're saying there's a civil war happening. There's a genocide occurring there. We don't know what's going to happen to them. Why not send them back to their countries of origin, which is what we do with everybody else?
We don't know what's going to happen to them there either.
I think that's exactly
and they
the
have
point.
broken the law, Abby. When you come into the country, you've committed a felony. And number two, you have to deter this behavior from continuing to happen because it has become a problem for this country.
So the deterrence is, like El Salvador, we'll send them to places where they might face imminent death.
Absolutely.
And
because that sends a message. If you come to the United States and break our laws, violate our immigration laws, it will have severe consequences.
So for unspecified crimes, we don't know exactly what all these people were convicted of. Maybe they were convicted. Hold on a second.
Can I read it?
They were convicted. Maybe they were convicted of very serious crimes.
I'll read it.
The penalty that the Trump administration says is appropriate potentially could be death.
I mean,
right?
I'll read it. Sex offenders, homicide, kidnapping, murder in the first degree, battery, larceny, cocaine possession, murder, robbery, DUI, child sex abuse, and sex assault on someone with a mental illness. The Sudan is too good for these people. And I'm not sure any other country would take them.
But what about their home country?
I'm not sure they'll take them. Would you take that person back?
How do you know that?
Well, one of them came from Cuba.
No.
I have to say.
How do you know that?
I don't care what we do with them. These are heinous, violent criminals, and they do not need to be here. That's all I know.
So let me just play. This is more of J.D. Vance talking about this. Well, a similar issue. This is what he says should happen to immigrants who come here illegally.
I think that we should treat people humanely. I think we have an obligation to treat people humanely. But I do think that a lot of these illegal immigrants have to go back to where they came from.
Okay,
but they're
send them
not
back to
going
where
back to where they came from. And it's like, Guantanamo on a global scale. Like, we're sending people off to places we don't know what's going to happen to them. And in fact, it is very likely, as you said, that some harm could come to them. One of the people who were sent to South Sudan, in the report that I read, was from Myanmar. Whole other continent, 4,000 miles away. Does he speak the language? Can he access any part of their judicial system? Can his family ever contact him or visit him? This is kind of like an orchestration of cruelty as a deterrent, but I don't think that we should be in the business of creating, I'll finish if you let me, of creating cruelty as a country's policy. And that is what we're doing.
But Tara, let me just ask Tara this.
Would you say that the victims of their crimes would say they were cruel?
This reminds me of, a big question with Trump is optics versus policy. And I do think that they intentionally create these moments in order to have these conversations be aired out, so that Scott can come on here and say, well, don't you want to, you guys want to be soft on the murderers? But it is a question of what the law allows them to do in this situation and what recourse these people might have.
Right. No, they're absolutely breaking the law in the name of good politics, because what Scott just said is it's a strong point that a lot of people are going to go home with and say, I don't want someone living next to me that's a rapist, child molester, this, that, and they don't care where they go. A lot of people in this country just believe in the death penalty to anybody at any point. So it's like Trump is speaking to his people in the language that they understand. And so while it's something that really agitates the left, it works for his base.
But it's not just his people. A lot of these criminals propagate these crimes against vulnerable people. Some of them did not vote for Donald Trump. Some of them are not Republicans. Some of them are Democrats. Some of them probably voted for Kamala Harris for other reasons.
Here's the thing. I don't disagree that people who commit crime should leave this country. That's not the argument. But you don't have the moral high ground when you do something wrong and you treat people inhumane. That doesn't make me feel like you're any better than somebody else. I think that they should go back to their country they came from. I think they should be treated with due process. I think they should actually face the judicial system in their country. And if they killed somebody, they should have to pay for their crimes. But I don't think you treat people inhumane. I don't actually care what crime. That's just not the principles I live my life by.
But their countries aren't holding them accountable.
Coming up next, House lawmakers are up late with the big question. Can they come to an agreement on this big, beautiful domestic agenda bill that Donald Trump is asked for? We'll discuss that.